says when a man gets married to a woman, his life is longer.
Welcome to Date, Affirm, the Real, our live podcast talking about today's relationships and its effects on us all. Please welcome our hosts, Kia McLean, the poet, and Shanika, the dog therapist. Let's get real.
What's up, baby?
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy
So,
Tuesday.
for those that are new and those that are returning, ain't she cruel? She's so cruel.
I did pretty good. I tried to be pretty good.
So, tonight's title, Love Across Two Homes, Rethinking Marriage. And this is the amazing time keeper, because we like to talk, and this helps us to stay on time.
Yes.
Even though we don't always make it, I'm watching.
Yes.
Okay? So, welcome everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Date Affirm the Real, where we talk about dating in all aspects. We talk about affirming one another, affirming yourself first, and always keeping it 100. For those that don't know what 100 means, it means real. So, that's why it's Date Affirm the Real. And again, thank you for tuning in with us this evening on this beautiful Tuesday evening. It's 81 degrees in Dallas. I don't know where you are, but it's beautiful here. What is it in Cali now, cousin?
I think it's like, because it's like overcast and been sprinkling all day. All morning. Yeah.
It's sunny and beautiful here, and we deserve it because this weather has been on the very bipolar side.
Ours has too. It'd be like all sunny and bright and be like, yay. And then it's like,
yeah.
It's raining.
It don't really want to make up its mind right now, and that's okay. That's okay. You know, we all have our moments. I'm going through menopause, so you know, the weather is just trying to follow along. It's trying to So
to follow along.
It's trying to follow along because it's trying to follow along. But we're gonna talk about love across two homes. There you go. That's her favorite, y'all. If you didn't see it, that is her favorite. Don't want to give her anything. That's it. So let's talk about love across two homes. Let's talk about couples who make the decision to live in separate homes. First of all, what we do in Date Affirm the Real is we talk about what you say.
My son was leaving. I was like, love you.
Bye, David. But what we do is, you know, we share our experiences, we share our thoughts, we share, you know, just what it is that we see as either something that we learn from, navigate through differently, heal from, grow from, on different perspectives, right? Because not everybody thinks the way that they think. And how they give space for different perspectives. And so this particular topic may not be something I agree with. And as I've told you before, quite frankly, we don't care if you agree. It is really just us here, right? And I heard this and I thought it was very, very interesting. And I thought we could dive into it and also talk about, you know, how this may be a healthy way for other people if they're looking to do something differently to make it work in their relationship.
Right.
So, baby, you'll go ahead and make Now that would be
His
great.
He gets
best,
antsy.
he gets antsy.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering. I'll be very honest with you. When I saw this, I said, okay, there are going to be nights where you might want to go to a movie and he's not there.
That's exactly right.
Or
When you
want to get
miss
dinner.
that
Or when you
person.
just want to cuddle.
That's right.
And they're not there. How do you handle that in a mature way?
Well, for the record, whenever Cheryl Cheryl has to leave
a
or I have to
politician.
leave, no, I just want the people to understand the truth. Okay, all right. Cheryl gets. I notice that Cheryl starts to get grumpy.
Oh,
That's when I have to leave you.
Yes,
But that's when I have to leave you. This isn't about me. This is about
Oh,
you.
it's all about me.
Yes.
Okay. For once in our life.
Yes.
All right, another song.
It's about you.
All right. It's not about you.
Thank you.
It's
It's
about
about
me.
you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so
Yes, dear.
I
yes, dear.
asked Vincent, I said, is there ever a dull moment in this marriage? He said, never.
Never.
So tell
Ever.
me, how do you, when you're in the bed and you're missing her and she's not there, how do you reconcile that longing to be with the woman you love?
It's the anticipation of being together.
Thank you.
You are good at this. He's good. You said, what did you say to her at the wedding that sticks out in your heart?
You know what? I think for me, Tamron, it was after the wedding. After the wedding, and I was spending some time in Philadelphia during the summer, and the kids were in Jamaica, and I was in his car, and it was not exactly the car I would be driving in.
It's a state vehicle.
It's a state vehicle, and I said to Vincent, why don't we buy you a new car? Vincent literally pulled over to the side of the road, and he looked at me, and he said, this is who I am. This is what I do. And if you are not comfortable driving around in this car, you better say something right now. And okay.
Philly.
I so respected him standing confidently in himself and not saying, I need a fancy car because I'm with a fancy you, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. He said, no, I drive an old car. You happy or you not?
I love it. Vincent, I got to tell you that the interview she did with People magazine was about it, life getting greater later, so to speak.
Bevy
good
Smith
things-
always
Bevy
says
said
that.
my
Thank you, babe, for playing the clip for us. Appreciate you. So, when I saw her actually doing an interview somewhere else, because she's been doing interviews talking about this all over, right? Both her and her husband. But I really kind of thought that one was the cutest. So I wanted
Right.
to
They look so they're
they just look so cute together,
yes.
energy together.
Yes.
And I definitely, so we'll get there because I can jump somewhere real quick when I get excited. So let's start at the start. And at the start was Cameron asking them about how they cope with being in separate spaces and what do they do when they want to cuddle, when they want to be around each other, when they have that yearning for one another. And I think one of the major things is they're doing what works for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oftentimes when you see other people's relationships and their dynamics, we like to meddle. We like to put our judgments and thoughts on things without a full scope and understanding of what that actually looks like.
Right.
You don't get to know a person's relationship dynamics by seeing them for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours. They have really good chemistry. You can clearly see that. But even if you did, it's none of anyone's business how they choose to live their marriage. They seem happy enough. That's a choice they made. And at the very end of the video, where I tried to jump to first, was the most impactful to me because he had boundaries and she respected his boundaries and they were able to continue to flourish based on communication.
Right.
So you notice he not only told her, he pulled the car over. He wanted to make it
let me get you to understand.
He wanted to make it very clear. This is how I roll, right? And if you don't like riding in this car with me, then we need to discuss some other things, right? Because he said, if this ain't where you want to be, all right.
I like
But you have
that.
to respect that. And I think when couples have that type of open communication and dialogue with
Mhm.
one another, that is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And if it works for them, they're not only living in separate homes, they live in different cities altogether.
Oh,
And
city or
so,
state? I thought he was in New York and she was anyway.
yeah, well, they live in different cities.
Okay.
So he's in Philly and she's somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're very far from each other, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still not in the same city.
Okay.
So but even if they were in the same city, I think regardless of that, I think that's major that they have found
Mm-hmm.
something that works for them,
For
right?
them. Mm-hmm.
That's what works for them, living in separate homes. And I see my Keisha said here, good communication and great understanding. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean and you can see it. You can actually see it. You don't always see that with people, but you can
Mm-hmm.
actually see that with them. And
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit of research. There's a lot of people who live this lifestyle. A
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember growing up and seeing, people that were married that were in separate homes. They weren't in the same homes. I
Mm.
mean, they were in separate rooms.
Separate rooms,
So
yeah. Yeah.
person slept in one room, another person slept in another room. And so, it people do what works for them for
Right.
various reasons. And again, this whole the society said you should do it like this.
Right.
And it's like we put so much emphasis on other people when it is your life to live. The
Mm-hmm.
biggest mistake that you can make is not living a fulfilling life because you're concerned with what other people say about you.
Right. Right.
So let's talk about that from a therapy side, cousin, about, you know,
Oh
if a
shoot.
client comes to you and says,
Oh
I
my.
really prefer to live separately from my spouse. How do you navigate a conversation with them about expressing that honestly?
Wait, can you see me?
I see you.
Oh, I can't see you. Okay. I don't know what just
Oh,
happened. My dad tried to call and I don't know where I am. Hold on. You can still see me though? Okay, there I am. Okay. I was like, I'm lost. Where'd you go? You know what? I
can you see me again?
think, huh? Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay.
I think therapeutically, again, I feel like you said, we do this thing where we are so concerned with what society thinks and what they and their input into our lives that it becomes unhealthy. And so now we're following the society's norms or society's points of view of what norm is, and we're unhappy. And most people are in unhappy situations. Just like I was watching something and the guy was saying, he said because people be like, how men, or just people, I'm gonna say people, say we should go back to when the women were whatever, right? And he was saying, he said, but back then they didn't have a choice. Like they couldn't go get divorces because they wouldn't be able to have a loan. They wouldn't be able to take a loan out. They wouldn't be able to do certain things. So they had to stay with them. And so I think it's important that we do what's best for us. I think it's important. And I like what my Keisha said, good communication and great understanding. And it has to be communication with that person and see what works for them, what's best for them. I think that's the most important, you know?
Yeah. And so from a walk down perspective, because I want the listeners to have just a couple of actual tools. So a walk down is if you want to communicate with your spouse or your significant other that you want to live separately, you think that might be a better alternative to.
You froze. What happened? Am I still on? Kia, where you go? It happened. That's what I thought happened to me, but it was okay. I don't know what happened. So, okay, I think I'm still on. I think. So anyway, what she was saying. Oh, so I'm just on by myself. Okay. So I think she was stating, okay. Okay, wait, she coming on? A walkthrough. So she was saying initially, so if you start, so okay, I'm on a dating app right now, right? So we talked about that before. And I think initially when you start talking to whomever you're speaking with, this is, this is who I am. I think sometimes people tend to, like when we do that sometimes too, because sometimes what we tend to do is we tend to say yes, or yes, I agree with that, and we really don't, because we don't want the other person to not like us or think we're weird, and I think the initial is you being okay with what you want. What do you want? Are you open to that? And it's interesting because because I think about, like, so even because I've been single for so long, right? So I think about my room. I love, you guys, I love my room. Okay. So I have my bed set up. I have it's like girly. It's like, it's me. It's me. It's my room. And I was thinking that, I was like, dang, if I'm with somebody, will they be okay with not, like, or I didn't even have, no, it wasn't even about if I'm with somebody. It's about, okay, Shamika, if you choose to be in a relationship, right? What do you want? Because I like my space. I like my room. I like the fact that I can go in my room and be in there by myself and read a book or whatever. And so I did, like, the person you said you can hear me? Okay, good. The Junior Lily said he can hear me. So good. Thank you. Uh oh,
Can you hear me?
can you, I can hear you.
Okay. Back in action.
Okay. So I was saying that, because it sounds like you were saying, like, that initial conversation, right? So I was saying that I'm on a dating app, and that was a conversation me and us, one of the guys I'm talking to had, right? And so it was, and he, because and then it went into it also went into, like, okay, is this attachment issues, right? I didn't mention this. But I thought about it. Like, is this attachment issues? Let's make sure we're dealing with any other stuff to see if this is what we want, right? What we choose. But I was saying, like, I like my bedroom. I love how my bedroom is. And do I want to share that with anybody? Do I want to share my space, or do I want to turn it into do I want to?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to. Because we could live in, like, again, having separate, we could have separate rooms or be in separate spaces. And I think I'm more open to that than I was before.
Yeah. I think, like, one of the things that I would suggest to people is to write down questions to yourself first. Write down questions to yourself. Is it more comfortable for me living independently?
Mm.
Do I feel anxious, stressed, overwhelmed when I'm in the same house with somebody? Because some people don't do well in the house with people. Some people like their space. They
Mm-hmm.
like to be able to have quiet time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there are moments where it benefits us to be away from each other. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, Marcus travels. We don't live separately, but he travels a lot for work.
Right.
And during those times, we get to have those times apart, in addition to us having individual hobbies and things that we do separately from one another. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's that healthy balance that works for us.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people tell me they couldn't do what I do. So, but it's about what works for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it works for you, when I met him, this is the job he had. So I've always, you know, it's not like it was something that was sprung on me in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the relationship, or, it's something that I've always experienced with him. He's always traveled for work. It's always been this way. Sometimes it's more travel, sometimes it's less travel. But either way, I know how at the very max, we can be without each other for 2 weeks.
Right.
Because that's the longest that we've been without each other is 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we missed each other, but was it the end of the world? No,
Now,
not for either.
question. Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because this has been a conversation, like just in my own head, right? How often did you guys talk on the phone? Did you guys talk on a daily basis? Did you guys just sit on the phone? Like,
So neither of us are phone people. So, but my thing is I want to talk to you in the evening,
mm-hmm,
right? When we wrapping up for the day is over, we're in bed. We've had date nights where we're watching the same movie at the same time.
mm-hmm,
So there's not a whole lot of talking, maybe some laughing, and you know, we like to watch stuff and talk shit while we're watching it with each
mm-hmm,
other. So we might do some of that, but what we need from each other may not be the norm
mm-hmm.
for what other people need, right? So,
Right,
what Shirley and her husband does isn't too far off to me. You know what I'm
right,
saying? I think
right.
that works, especially because they have a different type of lifestyle. She's an
Mm-hmm,
actress. He's involved in politics. He's a judge. So they have a very different type of lifestyle. They're
right,
traveling. They're moving around. And so that just may be what works best for them because of
right,
their busy schedules and the different commitments that they have.
right.
So, but I want to go back to what you said about the conversation, right? Um, and having that conversation. It's when you said be honest, right? You have to be honest. Don't sit there and suffer in silence and want something different and get something totally different from what you want and then settle.
Right. And I
And
think that's the thing too. I think that's the thing too, though. But again, it all goes back to knowing you. It all goes back to, because okay, and I was gonna say, and the reason why I asked you too about how often do you talk to him, because I've known people that they sit on the phone the whole time, talking, breathing on the phone, and I'm like, I don't think that's healthy, guys. Like, I don't think that's a healthy way of being, because now you're engulfed in them, and you guys, nobody's living their own life.
yeah,
So I think, and then like you, and then because as we get older, right? As we get older, we start changing our points of views about things and identifying again who we are without somebody telling us, our parents telling us what to do, our parents' expectations of who we are, society's expectations of who we are, and I feel like for me, I have, like, we would be like, oh, well, people think, and I'd be like, what people? Who, they watching you? What people? Who watching you? I'd be like, who watching you? Because I'll be like, who they paying your bills? I mean, like, if they're paying their bills, okay, you gotta do what they say. No, they're not paying your bills. But I do remember being that, right? I do remember being aware of people just paying attention to me and might think I'm weird or different, And then at one point I was like, oh, do I care? What makes me happy?
And so, what did you just say before you just said that? What did you say before that? And I don't have my pen. That's why I couldn't write it down.
Us sitting on the phone, what's best for me, caring about what other people think. I do they pay my bills?
Okay, so the sitting on the phone thing. I think I've shared this before where I was getting my hair done one day. And this is when I first started getting my hair done with my stylist, with my hairstylist. And she said, your husband travels for work? And I said, yeah. And she goes, and you don't FaceTime him every day? I said, no. And she's like, oh, no, I have to FaceTime the nigga I'm with. And I said, oh. I said, well, if I have to be with someone and FaceTime them to trust what they're telling me, no. Okay.
What we just did, we just paused. I was pausing to read.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something going on with kids, and I was like, I was gonna say something, but I was like, maybe it's just me. But no, I hear it. So Marcus hears it too.
All right.
So he's gonna turn off for 20 seconds, and I know Kia was saying, you were saying, if you have to do that, she was saying, if you have to do that and check if I got to check for my husband or my man on FaceTime to make sure he's not doing anything, like, is that the relationship you want to be in? If you don't feel like, and then the question is, because the question is, okay, I guess there's two questions. So the one question is he trustworthy? Like, or not? I don't even like that word, because you know what? Because we tend to do this unrealistic version of trust, right? Where we're like, so the guy has been unfaithful from the beginning, but then you're like, but I trust him. Yeah, but no, but he's showing you who he is. Okay, I was reflecting back on, you said if I'm dealing with somebody that has, if I got to FaceTime them. Wait, can I hear you? Go ahead, talk.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's just lagging a little bit.
It's lagging? Oh my goodness. What is going on tonight?
It's just lagging a little bit.
Okay. All right, we're going to push through. We're going to finish this out. All right.
Okay.
So
it's better.
Here's where we are. If anybody wants to know, this is where we are on time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if I have to do all of that, right? But I also recognize there's a 20-year gap with us, with me and my hairstylist, right? Mm-hmm. So she was in her 20s at that time. Mm-hmm. And so when I was in my 20s, those are the types of things I probably said, right? Like, oh, I need to know what he's doing. I need to know where he at. I need to know that I can trust him. So although I'm not there anymore, I remembered being in that place, right? Where there was something that I wanted to do. But what that showed me through time, maturity, experience, is that's not the type of relationship I want to be in, right?
That's what I said,
and
yeah.
So what you were saying earlier was kind of alluding to my point now. Mm-hmm. I no longer will sit up and struggle and sit in situations that do not feel good to me.
Yes. Yep.
And I recognize what feels good and what doesn't. Yes. I honor myself and I'm obedient to myself by removing myself and removing people. Yes. So if it doesn't work for me, it's not even a big deal to me. Right. I'm just done. Right. Like, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't align with my values, my beliefs, or my way of life. Right. That's not I'm better, you're worse. It is what it is. Yeah. So I'm not going to tolerate being with a man who I don't trust. I'm not going to tolerate being with somebody that I feel like I have to FaceTime constantly and talk to constantly and track.
Make sure he's not doing nothing.
Yeah, keep up with and all of that. No, that is a grown adult person that will do what they want to do regardless anyway. Me calling,
it's not going to stop them from doing anything.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to change a thing. And I think
nothing.
People get caught up in thinking they can control another human being.
That part.
And that's why people feel like, oh, I couldn't do that because you wouldn't do it because you're not mature enough. You wouldn't do it because you care about what other people think. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't do it because you're not secure enough. Let's talk about it.
And that's what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to say when you said that. Look, let me have my pen.
Because that's the reality. The reality is you're in discomfort by being in a relationship with somebody that's long distance. And we've had another couple on here talk about their long distance relationship. They just celebrated their 4-year anniversary last week. She's in Dallas and he's in Houston. They have a very beautiful relationship. So it's things like that where people, and I think as people, we have this bad. You hear something called a rumor and you take it and you run with it. You don't have any proof. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You
Mm,
hear something and you just like, well, I heard
mm,
that a person can't make it in a long distance relationship. Yeah, I heard that too. And then I heard that people be cheating on each other when they live in different cities. Yeah, I heard that too. And
mm.
it just becomes this thing that gets shared. And then now
Right,
everybody's believing it
right,
and everybody's buying into that.
right.
But what if you just cared about what you want to do?
Mm-hmm,
Because I don't give a shit what people say or think or feel
mm-hmm.
or judge. None of that reflects anything in my life. It doesn't
Right,
impact my life whatsoever. And
right.
but this is why I feel like this is the happiest part of my life. Because of my acceptance of all of who I am, my
Yes,
acceptance of what I do, how I do it, without concern for anything
yes,
external.
yes.
And when you get to that point, see, people talk about a lot of stuff. They talk about money, they
Mm,
talk about a level of success with people knowing you and notoriety.
mm,
The highest form of success for Kia is knowing who I am.
mm.
I'm the baddest person knowing who I am
Yes.
because I get to live the life I want to live. See,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to fake and be phony. I get to tell my husband what I like, what I don't like. I get
Right,
to tell my husband what I want, what I don't want.
right.
And I don't have to be concerned with him saying this about me or him
Yeah.
saying that about me or
Yes.
him judging or him saying, no, I get to be honest. That's what I loved about that conversation with Cheryl and her husband because
Yes.
she said, that man told me basically to my face, you don't like the shit, bye. That's basically what he told her. Okay.
Basically, bottom line. Bottom line.
He said,
Bottom
you
line.
don't like it, peace out. And the beauty in what she said, when she said, I had so much respect for him. That's what people don't realize too. Being honest, the right people will respect
Man,
your honesty.
man.
Only
I
people
want to
that get
go
mad about it is the people that want to use you.
right. I want to go to because you mentioned because we talked about trust, right? And I was
Uh-huh.
saying trust does not mean like let's not do the idea of what the idealizing trust, right? So somebody will show you who they are. Trust who they are, right?
Mm.
Not I trust that they'll do this, but you didn't see them do the opposite. That's not realistic. So let's start with let's go there. That's trust
That's
is
good.
trusting somebody exactly who they are. If they don't have character, then they're not gonna have character. Trust that they're not gonna have character. If
That's
they have
good.
character and if great communication, you can feel like, okay, I can communicate with them. We have like trust who they show you they are. Watch who
Mm-hmm.
they show you they are. Trust it.
That's
Um,
good.
and then I said asking yourself two questions. Am I not trusting them because they have shown me who they are and they're not trustworthy and when it comes to relationships or being faithful in relationships? Or am I dealing with my own attachment issues? And that was the
That's what I
conversation.
wanted. That's what I wanted right there. Give
That's
it to
me and
him.
my friend's conversation because he was like, I have to identify if there's like, and this is okay. This is why this particular person is because he's very processing as we're talking, right? He communicates, articulates, and processes in our conversation. I love it. So he was like, I have to really identify if that's an attachment issue I have, like, and I'm like, okay, let's again, the self-reflection
Yeah.
is important, and that's not only for yourself but for your partner
Yeah.
self-reflecting is amazing, like that's
Mm-hmm.
that's
That
so
man,
sexy.
that
That's
is
so
so good.
sexy.
And I'm so glad you said that. I literally just told my cousin that the other day on when he called me on Sunday for some advice. And I said, um, so my only advice to you is your dad has shown you who
Mm,
he is.
mm,
There's no need to keep questioning it.
right,
There's no need to keep doubting it.
right,
There's no need to keep expecting a different outcome.
right.
Your dad has made a decision and a commitment
Yes.
to be who he is. Now, you can choose to accept it, embrace it, and love him through it, or you can choose to set a different tone with you all's relationship. And when you set a different tone, you're basically setting a boundary so you don't have to make this phone call to me again. Because what happens is every time he breaks the boundary, that the invisible boundary that you don't even have in place, you keep making the same phone call to me.
Right.
Now, as much as I'm here for you, cousin, as much as I love you, you and I have the same conversation every time you call. So how about I want to start having different conversations with you? I want to just talk about what your family doing and what my family doing versus your dad doing the same shit.
Over and over and over again.
And you setting yourself up to feel the same emotion over and over and over again. Because we're gonna go deep in the therapeutic conversation about that.
Right.
If you expect something different from someone that has repeatedly shown you time and time again, this who the hell I am.
Right. Right.
You playing with yourself. They're not doing anything to
it ain't
you.
them. It's now at that point, it's not them. It's you.
They're not doing anything to you. You're doing it to
you. They're not the issue.
So by them having that open communication, open dialogue, them trusting one another, by them doing all of the things that show both of them are healthy. That's the point. Both of them are healthy, communicative
individuals,
mature individuals. That's when you see happy, healthy couples like that. That's when you see that, because they have literally understood that in order for our relationship to thrive and work, we need to live separately. We've had conversations about this, and guess what? We don't know, but they may have had a conversation that, you know what, when we get to this age or this stage in life, we may come back and live together at some point. We may decide to do something different at a different point. Right. And you get to do that. The point is, you get to do whatever it is that works for you.
What works for you and yours. And that's what's important. Identifying what works for you. And you have to figure out what works for you before you get into a relationship with somebody else.
Yes.
You might have thought, because I might have thought in an unhealthy state when he pulled over, like, oh, you don't want to be with me? Oh, is that what you're saying? Right? I might have took his honesty as a form of attack.
Yeah.
And I know, because that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
And so I like, I not only like the growth I see in myself, I'm loving who I'm becoming,
Right. And that's the key right there. That is the key. Like I said earlier, the reason why I have the happiest, most joyous time of my life right now is because my self-awareness, because of the work that I've done to heal and continue to do, because of me facing myself, being honest with myself about certain things, and about still accepting the things I got to work through.
Right.
Without guilt.
Without judgment of myself.
Yeah. I just work through those things because I'm not perfect. So those things I just work through, and I give myself permission to work through those things without, previously, years and years ago, I would spend so much time beating myself up.
Right.
That I wasn't focused on just growing.
Right.
I wasn't focused on just healing. Right. I wasn't focused on just forgiving myself. Big one.
Yes.
I was so focused on the mistake. I was so focused on the flaw. I was focused on the things that other people pointed out.
Yes.
So when I got to the point of understanding that I don't need to have anybody beat me down, because I was already beating myself down, right? Right. I was already doing that part. But when I ignored the internal voice that was trying to beat me up, it was easy to ignore the external voices.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. When you want to work through whatever issues you may have, start with you.
Yes.
most times we're starting outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're worried about what they doing and they doing. No,
Everybody else doing right. Mm-hmm.
and excuse me, you could have what Cheryl Lee and her husband have if you were honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be a long distance marriage,
Situation.
living in separate
If you
homes.
don't want
It
that,
may not
right?
be.
If you don't want that, yeah.
But you can have whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point.
Yes.
You get to have whatever you want without societal pressures,
Yes.
without caring about, well, how is this gonna look and what are people gonna say and what my mom and them going look. Guess what your mom and them doing? Living their life, being
Mm-hmm.
happy the way they want to live.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what your friends and co-workers and other random ass people in the world are doing? Living
That
their
don't
lives,
living their life. Mm-hmm. Doing what they want to do.
doing what they want.
Doing what they want.
So if you want that type of lifestyle, I feel like you should go for it. I feel like you should be honest with your partner
Mm-hmm.
and have that conversation. And
Right.
again, this isn't just about living in separate homes. If
Right.
you want something that is different from societal norms,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm so sick of. I'm so sick of that. Societal norms.
How much stress do you put on yourself trying to live somebody else's
Yeah.
expectations? Like how much stress? How much stress do you think that carries? You know,
The level of happiness that you could have right now,
man.
today,
Right.
in this
Live your
moment,
own life.
if you decided to live your life for you,
Right.
just for you, if you decided to do that just for you, I remember even before I got to this point, I would see people who were so freaking free in their lives
Hmm.
in every aspect.
Hmm.
I don't care what it was, their sexuality, their exploratory ways.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
traveling solo. They're going and doing all of this random crazy stuff.
Hmm.
Like I always would be like, this is what I would say when I was younger. I wish I could do that.
Hmm.
I just wish I could be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, but you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can live however you want to live. It's
Right.
your life here,
Right.
right? And so when you come into that knowing that's almost like you're being reintroduced to yourself because you're like,
Yes.
I get to do whatever I want.
Man.
I don't have to care about what this person say, what that person say, what this
Right.
person think, what that. Do you know how heavy that is?
Man. Cause you ain't never. Cause here's the thing, you will never. What is the word? You will never like please anybody else.
Never.
Because you're always gonna, you're never gonna please, because you're gonna have so many people have different points of view about the way you should
Yep.
be living. You
Yep.
can never please that many people. So at the end of the day, it's important that you make sure you pleasing you.
And think about how many times ego has made people make different decisions, even dumb decisions, because of ego. You can't even walk away from something and ignore something because of your ego. Me, that used to be me. You said what? I had to prove a point, but Kia didn't have to prove a point. Kia's ego had to prove a point. So I put myself and people that were around me in dangerous situations because I wanted my ego to win. And I know people that are in jail and dead because of that. Because you care about societal norms.
How people look at me.
People killed. Societal norms got people in jail. Societal norms got people on crack and all kind of other dependencies that aren't healthy. So these are things that you have to consider when you keep worrying about what other people think. Oh, I wanted to fit in, so they told me to try this pill, and now you messed up.
Been the same. Ain't been the same since.
Ain't been the same because you want to be a follower. So when you understand, just learn to embrace who you are, what
Mm-hmm.
your desires are, and what matters to you, you will be happier and more fulfilled.
Yeah.
Cheryl Lee and her husband, and as far as I can see, and as far as I can feel, because I'm good about that, the feel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they look beautiful.
Yeah. And happy.
They
Like,
look
like a genuine,
happy.
they're like friends. They look like
Yes,
they look like they like each other.
that part.
They look like they like each other.
That part.
Hmm.
So figure out how to make what your choice is in life work for you.
Hmm.
Figure out how to make it work for you. You don't have to settle. You don't have to silence your voice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be fearful of what other people will think. But you do get to choose what you want. You get to choose whatever it is that you want. So do that.
Yes. Agreed. I wanted to bring up too, in order um because when you make a decision for you, you will lose people. So I think you have to be okay with losing people. We have to be okay with losing a relationship because it doesn't work for you. It no longer serves you. It doesn't. It's okay. Like I think so. It was because I try not to be like, oh, I had a client, but I'm gonna say there was a person, right, that was like, oh, but he's a good guy. But he's a good guy, so I didn't want to, because everybody kept telling me he was a good guy. And what if they are a good person, right? But what if it's just like this? Just is not for me. They're a good guy, and I think we mentioned this last time. They're
Mhm.
just a good guy for somebody else. It's okay to say, you know what? I thought this was going to work out, but I'm not feeling a connection. And but I appreciate who you are. I appreciate you. You know, what if that's okay to do? Because I think, and I'm saying this because sometimes we're like, oh, but I don't want to lose this, right? But what is this? What is it you don't want to lose?
Mhm.
Not like, is it the relationship you don't want to lose because you just want to have somebody around? And then are you sacrificing yourself to have that person around?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
we have talked about that before. I don't remember on what episode at this point, but I remember us talking about that at some point because I remember using the example of my first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
me thinking, oh, this is a great guy. I shouldn't let him pass me by, right? But he wasn't my great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell for the societal norms. I
Because
did.
we're supposed to be.
I did.
We're supposed to be married.
On
We're supposed to
paper,
be.
this man was everything on paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I was taught. You get somebody who got good job, got some
Right.
benefits,
Yes.
got education,
Benefits.
duh, duh, duh,
Yeah. Got some good
right? And
benefits.
so you go with what other people expect of you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back at that personally, I'm just like, that ain't what I would even wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I had no desire to get married back then.
Mm.
No desire. None.
Wow.
Whether it was him or somebody else. So my point is, that's what happens though when you
Mm-hmm.
go with societal norms. And there are people
Yes.
who are still stuck in a societal norm decision right now. I
Yes.
got out of it because it wasn't fair to him and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't fair to me.
Right.
And a lot of times, and I've noticed this, you know how you notice certain things about yourself? One of the things I did notice about myself all the way up until my 30s is that I would make such rash decisions, right? Like in
Mm.
the moment, crazy decisions. And then I would be like, now why the hell did you? A lot of times they were good decisions, things that I really wanted to do. But then
Right.
sometimes they were just like crazy and off the
Right.
wall type shit. Like, girl, what was you thinking? So But I recognized that about myself, and then I had to stop and be like, so here's what you're gonna have to start doing. You have to
Hmm.
start tuning in, Kia. Check
Hmm.
in with yourself, right?
Hmm.
Is this Kia or is this an emotion that's unmet?
Mm.
So that's what I started doing with myself. Is
Hmm.
this Kia or is this an emotion that's unmet? And you're trying to fulfill it in this, or that,
Mm.
right? That
Mm.
and that is something that I've had. That just something I have in my toolbox, right?
Mm.
Or I'll say my tool bag because I carry it with me. And I'm
Hmm.
like, do I need to pull that out?
Hmm.
Do I need to pull the hammer out and hammer that shit out?
Right.
Or pull the nail out and be like, don't
Hmm.
don't put that on the wall. That's not proper.
Right. Right.
Because a lot of times I recognize that about myself. I can be an emotional decision maker sometimes.
Right. Yes. Me too. Yeah.
And a lot of people can do that.
Hmm.
And so you have to be able to just stop, reflect, have the awareness, tune in with yourself, and ask yourself, is this an unmet emotion?
Yes.
But we be moving and moving and moving and moving and moving, and we don't take the time to do that. And when
Yeah.
you don't do that, you suffer the consequences behind that.
Mm.
And that's why I had 2 failed marriages, and I made these very quick decisions to do stuff that I really had no desire to do then.
Mm.
I wasn't even in a healthy place to do it.
Hmm.
I ain't had no business marrying no damn body at
Hmm.
that times. Nobody. I don't even know how anybody wanted to marry me.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that because I didn't feel worthy, but
No,
because
but you was like, I
I was
wasn't ready.
thinking this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot going on, but I married broken people too, right? And
Mm.
we were all of me and them 2 ex-husbands. We were seeking something in each other that we should
Yes.
have been
Yeah.
seeking within
Yes.
ourselves, and we would
Yes.
have
Me
never done
too.
that.
Me too. Me
We
too.
would have never done that then,
Yep.
And so
Me
that's the
too.
point. But when you get to a place where you can recognize that about yourself, and then you're actually practicing those
Hmm.
things, then you can have that type of relationship that Cheryl Lee Ralph and her husband
Hmm.
has. Because I feel like that's what Marcus and I have. That is
Hmm.
what I was striving towards,
Yeah.
to get to. But
Yeah.
when you are in denial, when you feel like it's everybody else and not
Yeah.
you,
Yep.
when you feel like I got to do what other people do
Yep.
to please them, like all of those things, um, cumulatively are leading you down the wrong way because you're
Mm.
not going to be fulfilled that way.
Right.
Um, so we are here. Can y'all
We
see
got
that?
like
Can y'all
we're
see
at
that?
53 minutes. I'm looking at the
So we are running low on time.
yes.
However, I know we don't have a whole lot of people on live right now, but for those that are on live, do you have questions, comments? What are your thoughts about a married couple living in different cities or different homes? Is it something you think you could do? Is it something you think you can't do?
Hmm.
What's your opinion? You won't get attacked for your opinion.
Not at all.
It's your opinion. It's your thoughts.
Yeah.
But it's deeper even than thinking about that. Think about, do you have a certain attachment style that
Mm.
would prevent you from living this life? And how can you work through that?
Hmm.
Is your attachment style preventing you from a healthy, thriving relationship even?
Mm.
Because you might be so clingy that you ultimately ruin relationships because
Man.
of that. You push people away.
Yeah.
Are you so disconnected that you don't even connect with your partner?
Mm.
It's time to
Hmm.
ask yourself questions so
Hmm.
that your relationship is thriving rather than staying stagnant,
Hmm.
or if it's sinking. And
Hmm.
sometimes we don't want to be honest with ourselves about, where we might be in that relationship. It's okay if it's not working. It's okay
Mm-hmm.
if you got to walk away and do something differently. It's
Right.
okay if what other people are doing works for them and it wouldn't work for you.
Right.
All of these things are okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you accept and embrace the fact that it's okay
Yes.
to do what
It's
I want to do,
okay. Right.
it's okay for other people to do
to
what
do what
they
they
want to
want to do. Exactly. If you disagree, we want your opinion, you know?
Yeah.
We want your opinion. Yeah. And that's the thing too. And then it's like learning to make a decision without judging yourself. Even if the decision wasn't a healthy one. Like judging yourself. Who's
I think that question's for you.
if married and living in separate homes, who's moving the fridge? Who's moving the fridge? You guys, if you guys did not see Don's and Marcus's live last week, that's what they had. That was the conversation. So you
Yep.
gotta go back and go back and watch that one. Because yes, who's moving the refrigerator? Why we got a refrigerator to move? Why moving refrigerators? I don't know why we refrigerators. Yeah, refrigerator. Where are you moving said refrigerator to?
Said
How often-
refrigerator ain't moving nowhere.
How often are we moving refrigerators?
That's funny. So that's the only question it looks like we have. And that's more of a blooper than anything.
Right.
So if you guys don't have any other questions or comments, we're going to wrap it up by saying, again, in summary, please do what makes you happy.
Yes.
Now, as Shamika and I both say all the time, you get to do whatever you want to do.
Please do.
We only share our thoughts, our experiences, our knowledge and wisdom, but you get to do whatever you want. You don't have to listen to us. Now, what I typically do is I eat the fish and I throw the bones away. Because I can learn something from almost anybody. So whatever you found to be helpful, absorb it, digest it, whatever you need to do, and then throw away or set aside what didn't resonate with you.
Yes.
You can always go back to it if you set it aside, right? Because there were some things in my 20s and 30s I set aside and I was like, I ain't trying to hear none of that, right? When older people would tell me something, this is what I'm doing, okay? Because I know everything. I'm 25 years old.
I know everything.
I know everything. So, and here I am now, about to be 49 years old, and I'm like, and I still don't know everything, right? So, eating the fish and throwing the bones away is a perfect way to just get a different perspective.
Yes.
You know, learn something different.
Yes.
Do something different. Thanks, Don. Because you don't have to stay the same.
Yes.
And another test that you can do in terms of like stagnation, this is a practice that I do as well, is am I too comfortable right now? I ask myself that question. Am I too comfortable right now? Now, the reason I ask that question is not because I feel like I shouldn't be comfortable, because I like being comfortable. But there are moments when I can recognize I'm too comfortable. I've gotten stagnant. And I might need to do some extra work or some different type of work, right? Even stagnant in my relationship. Have we been consistently having our date night? Have we been consistently, pampering one another? Have we consistently been doing the things that we did to get together and stay together and get to marriage? So there are always those moments of introspection that will help you to recognize where you are in your journey and maybe where you want to be. And then set a plan of action to get there. So that's my last piece of advice. Shamika's going to share her last piece of advice, and then we're going to close out.
What if you just do you? What if you do you and then identify if it brings joy to you, and if it no longer brings joy, what if you choose something different, and that's okay? What if it does not have to be, because I know society says you have to be in things long term because you got to be committed to stuff, and you got to be. What if that's all lies? What if that's not okay for you? What if you're like, no, it's time to change. I'm stagnant. What if that's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Without judgment, without judging yourself as being wrong.
That's good. That's good. That shit was good now. Y'all all know how to act.
Yay.
Okay, so cousin, close us out.
Yes. All right, deep breaths. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you for showing up. Thank you not only for showing up with us, but for yourself. We thank you and we honor you guys' energy. We honor you guys' giving us the space to giving us the space to be able to share our points of view. Thank you guys. And all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. What else is possible, and how does it get any better than this?
Yes.
Yay.
That was good. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Data from the Real. I'm Kia McLean, the poet. And that is
Shamika, the Dark Therapist.
Until next time, peace.
Bye, guys.
Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees inside of me. In the